Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, like I wouldn't be surprised if we see a ton of AFC championship matchups between them in the next 5 to 10 years.
The Joe Vore Podcast is a brand new sponsor, and it is Dating Assassins. Have a first date coming up and have no idea what you're going to talk about? Well, Dating Assassins has you covered. With over 100 cards and 100 questions, you'll never have a boring date ever again. You'll make things funny, interesting, and even a little bit spicy. So get yours today, linked in the description below. Enjoy the show.
You're at Ohio State. You grew up in Columbus. So what's kind of your, what's kind of your day-to-day right now in the summertime?
Well, the summertime for me, to be honest, is pretty slow just because I am only doing my content stuff for work related stuff, no classes or anything.
Yep.
But dude, the NFL schedule, like NFL news and stuff is just so slow right now. It's pretty hard to find things to talk about. I find myself making videos about things that are just really small things and trying to make them seem a little bit more important than maybe they are, which is kind of funny, but it makes it when they're stuff during the season just to be like a little bit easier.
The Broncos helped you out by the revolutionary strategy of them molding their offense around Russell Wilson.
Dude, I'm so glad you saw that because I thought that was the worst news report.
Well, of course.
For people who don't know, there was a post saying the Broncos are gonna revolve their offense around Russell Wilson, and it's like, okay, mind blown. They're gonna try to use their star quarterback that they traded a lot to get, and I don't know. I thought that was the funniest thing, but that stuff makes news right now. Like that is the stuff that makes news.
That's what you have to do. I mean, once you get past the draft, and then you get your, you have the league year starts, so all your free agency and stuff happens like in March, right? And then once you get past the draft, you get a little bit of excitement. You get to see what some guys look like in shorts. And then in kind of this dead period before training camp starts, it's really tough. And we kind of got spoiled with the weird COVID schedules. At least we had like the NBA finals sprinkled in there going into July. And obviously 2 years ago, it went all the way to October and the season restarted in July. But now that we're on a regular schedule, it's like, man, I love baseball, but when it's the only sport, it's tough. Especially you when you're doing just NFL stuff. That's brutal.
I know. Well, it's one thing I kind of thought about too recently was that last year we had the Olympics during this kind of middle.
That's right.
This July time
delayed a whole year.
It made people like not realize it as much, but with the NFL news right now, since teams aren't being able to interview the players and stuff, you're really looking at for what do the players share right now during this off-season time? Like, what are they posting? Training videos? Are they posting about, I noticed Tyreek Hill started up a podcast. He's doing stuff like that. That's kind of the stuff right now because the players aren't required to be at the facilities. We just had OTAs, but they're optional. You don't have to go. But once training camp comes, and I think about 2 weeks from now, things should start cooking. And your Browns definitely have a lot to be cooking during training camp this year.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the way that you think about it, the way that us fans are going to look at everything, the way that internally the guys that are actually in the building, how things are going to go. I mean, it's going to come down. Probably in the next few weeks, we're going to have some sort of answer on the Deshaun Watson, and that's going to make a big difference for everything. You're going to look, okay, if it's 6 games, you're immediately going to go and circle week 7 there on the schedule. You're going to see, okay, can we survive these first 6 weeks by playing 500 football? I mean, that's how you're going to look at it as a fan. So yeah, I mean, that's going to be a huge question for Browns fans everywhere. And of course, the actual people that are involved, your coaches, your front office, and of course the players.
Well, I think with the Browns too, like there's so much uncertainty. It could be 0 games. It could be totally postponed. We could see no suspension at all this whole season. We could see the whole year him being out. It's kind of hard for Browns fans just because they you want to be excited about your team, but it's hard because you have no clue what direction that the team's going to be taking for this upcoming season.
Right. And then you still have people out there, and I'm still kind of hesitant to be publicly excited. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's a great talent, and I feel like a lot of people have made this point. So it's nothing new, but you could hear he gets 0 games, or he only gets 4 to 6 games, but you still could have some self pushback. Like, God, like it almost feels dirty. I know, Kareem Hunt, and it's not like outside of Deshaun Watson, everyone's perfect in the NFL, but this is certainly a circus. And, I totally get people that aren't going to watch, are going to have a tough time watching or rooting for certain people. So yeah, there's many layers to this, I guess is the most general way to put it out there.
It's definitely a slippery slope because, as a fan, you find yourself in a situation where it's like, I don't know if I want to root for somebody like that. But the thing that makes it really hard is the Browns gave him the best contract in NFL history.
Yeah.
With someone who had the baggage that he had at the current time. So a lot of people, I think, are not big fans of the Browns just because of the front office seemed to care not one bit about what was going on. So yeah, I can see that. Maybe it's a little less about Deshaun Watson, but more like maybe get all the more information, get the facts, get these cases settled, or get the cases at least or just in court and see what actually happened.
Right.
And then go from there. But other players have all had issues. So I think that's something, but to see your front office do that, it's tough, but people are going to forget. We know, Joe, people are going to forget. It's going to as soon as Deshaun Watson's out there playing, it will not matter in people's minds.
As long as he plays well. If he plays bad, it's going to be that's going to stick with it.
He could be rusty. He hasn't played in a while. So
yeah, we will see. Let's talk about your team. In my Instagram stalking that I did, you're a Raiders fan. Big time Raiders fan. You have a brick there outside Allegiant Stadium I saw, which is pretty sweet. How did you become a Raiders fan?
That is a great question, Joe. I could talk about my Raiders literally all day long, but I became a Raiders fan back in 2010 was the first season I started watching the Raiders. It was actually the years prior I was into the Browns. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But my dad grew up a Raiders fan. He has no ties to Los Angeles or Oakland where the Raiders were. He just picked them when they were kind of their rugged, tugged 60s and 70s team.
Yeah.
Right before the Raiders, won 3 Super Bowls. But unfortunately for me, I kind of picked the worst time to become a Raiders fan.
Yeah.
But I think there's some fun to that too. I think there's some fun of going from not being that good to being like to win a Super Bowl. I think that journey is kind of what makes them matter. So
yeah.
That's kind of became a Raiders fan, but I'm a diehard fan. I try to go to any of the games I can go to, at least around Columbus. I've never actually been to a Raiders game like in Vegas or Oakland. So
did you make
that is next on my bucket list.
Okay. I know I got delayed like 4 days. Did you end up making it to the game in Cleveland this past year?
Oh, yes, I did make it to that game in Cleveland. Because I was originally going to go. Yeah, I was originally going to go.
Was it a Saturday night slot?
It was a Saturday night, and then it got moved up. I think it was played on Monday or Tuesday. I don't remember which day it was on.
Tuesday.
Or maybe it was Wednesday.
It might actually, now that I'm thinking, I think that is right. Wednesday sounds right.
It was one of those weekday games, but I already had tickets and I was like, okay, like I'm still going. Yeah. And turns out that was actually, I'm glad I went because it came down to a final kick where the Raiders won, which I was obviously excited about.
Right.
And it was kind of the turning point for the Raiders season because the Raiders end up winning like 4 or 5 straight games, end up making the playoffs, which I was able to go to the playoff game too, fortunately, because it was in Cincinnati.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. The Nick Mullens game for us Browns fans, you had people on Twitter like, I don't think 6 could make that play. It's like, okay, everyone just calm down. But hey, he kept his. That was a practice squad game. That game was the people that were out there, the short notice, not being able to practice, facilities shut down. That was a crazy game. I was actually in Florida on vacation watching that game, and it's a quick way to ruin a vacation is have Browns football scheduled during your vacation.
Oh yeah, it was the weirdest week ever. And then you had all the players out. I was at the game and I just remember like players or other fans were being like, oh, like, if we win, it's like a bonus with this. Yeah. Like we're expecting a loss. And which to me as a Raiders fan, I was like, I get it. It wasn't the best win to get, but I'm like, you got to just do what you can. And we couldn't control the fact that, the Browns players are out, because any team could be at a disadvantage. But yeah, I try to go to as many games as I can, especially the close ones like Indy, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, any of the ones that close to Columbus, Ohio, where I live is makes sense.
100%. How you feeling this year? Derek Carr, I've always kind of liked him. I liked him early in his career. And then, there were some years, kind of middle years in there where I was just like, his kind of, the excitement has kind of died down a little bit. But these last couple of years, especially last year, I really, really liked him. They get Devontae Adams. I mean, you have to be fired up for this year. The Raiders have, I feel like I know it's a hell of a conference or hell of a division and a hell of a conference, the AFC is, but I mean, I think there's some real expectations there for the Raiders this year.
I think there are definitely some expectations, but there is still a little bit of an under the radar aspect because of the division you mentioned. I'm pumped because, I think Carr is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. Yes. I think he hopped into a really bad situation with the Raiders in 2014. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the Raiders hadn't had a playoff win since 2002 before he hopped in there, which, we find quarterbacks like Josh Allen, when he got to the Bills, he was a year out of being in the playoffs. The Bills were, Mahomes was like, they had made the playoffs the 3 to 4 years prior to Mahomes getting the start. So it's a different situation with someone, and same with like Baker, for example, even with Cleveland, you're hopping into a situation where this team has not made the playoffs
they had won one game in 2 years, the 2 years prior to Baker being there.
Yeah. So I think Carr is underrated just because I don't think the wins didn't show. The Raiders were always like 7-9 or 8-8 but not necessarily a surrounding cast. But this year with Josh McDaniels, the head coach, I'm feeling good because McDaniels knows how to use a slot receiver. Okay. He's got Hunter Renfrow. He traded for Devontae Adams. We've seen him with Randy Moss in New England before, back in the early 2000s. Like Randy Moss went off. Darren Waller, he's got a stud tight end. He knows how to use Gronkowski. He used Gronkowski in New England. I think the offense will be really good. Just the only kryptonite could be the offensive line for the Raiders could struggle. The interior defensive line could struggle, and also too, hardest division I've seen in a really long time in the conference is like teams like the Rams and the Bucks have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl than like most of these AFC teams, even if they're better, just because of the competition. But I'm pumped. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Just to put it in perspective, Cowherd made this point, and I think it's a great point. So Baker's in Carolina now. Let's say Brady retires next year and Baker's still in Carolina. Baker's pretty much a year and a Brady retirement away of probably, unless anything else changes, being the best quarterback in that entire division there, which is crazy to think about.
Wait, I didn't even think of that at all.
Right.
That did not even cross my mind. Like that will happen. I think Baker's good. I like Baker
too, but, and I also heard another point. I'm stealing points here, which I think is so great. Baker is not a bust. And it would also be evaluated differently if he wasn't a number one pick, but also the biggest thing, kind of contrary, kind of the reverse of what we talked about of him now being in the NFC in that weak quarterback division outside of Brady, is the Browns look at it. They're like, we like pretty much everything and we like Baker, but because let's just rattle off some names: Burrow, Carr, Herbert, Mahomes. And that's just in our conference. And you just look at the division and you got Burrow and Jackson just in your division. You're like, we have to make an upgrade. Not that we can't win with Baker, because we have, but just to be able to compete, we have to make a jump from, okay, we can win with, to getting what could potentially be, and what we've seen, to being a top 3 talent in the NFL.
I get it. We're starting to find in the NFL now, Joe, that teams don't just want to settle for an average quarterback anymore.
No,
everyone's searching for that top 5 quarterback. And if you don't have it, the one that can make the plays and really just go outside of the script of the playbook and be like Patrick Mahomes, for example. We see him, he just makes plays that aren't even written on the sheet. Right. He's out here just, extending plays. So I think teams are finding, we don't want to settle for the Jimmy Garoppolos, the Baker Mayfields. Even we see a lot of even Carr talk about getting rid of Derek Carr for the Raiders. Now I think he's closer to a top 10 quarterback than other people may think.
I agree.
But people, just because if you're average, they view it as might as well take a shot on some young guy. Now, this year, quarterback wise in the draft was not really suited for that as much. Right. But next year, my Buckeyes, CJ Stroud. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe he's on the Lions or something.
Who knows? Yeah. But gone. It seems like gone are the days of, could a guy like Joe Flacco have won a Super Bowl in right now's era? Now, I obviously know he got on a historical hot run in the playoffs there, but I mean, a guy like that had a great team around him, a great defense, that's not really the blueprint anymore. You need one of these Burrow, Mahomes, type of Allen type of guys. I mean, you just, you watch that Chiefs and Bills playoff game last year, even if you missed the whole game except for the last, 3 minutes or whatever it was, or the last 13 seconds through overtime. And if you're thinking, if you can't picture your guy being able to put on one of those jerseys and do what one of those guys do or something like that, then I don't think you can be realistic about winning a Super Bowl, regardless of how good the rest of your roster is. And that's just, there's such a depth of talent at the position and everywhere now. It's just unbelievable. And also the rules help everything, for the offenses as well.
Yeah. And add on to that a little bit more, like, I think I 1000% agree with you. Like, the defenses can't even defend these quarterbacks anymore, because how do you, let's say Patrick Mahomes in the pocket, he's got 5 to 10 seconds to throw. Yeah. These corners aren't, they only expected to defend for about 2 to 3 seconds. Yeah. And at that point, you're supposed to get the sack by then. And but when the quarterback's running around for 5 seconds, they cannot guard these receivers for that long, because we're seeing the receivers get better and the quarterbacks get better at scrambling. So the defensive blueprint of being able to have a stud defense and a mediocre quarterback on offense might not work anymore. And you just have to match it with another star quarterback, like Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a ton of AFC championship matchups between them in the next 5 to 10 years. And
100%, 100%. It's crazy.
Well, 2 rival teams too, of our Browns and Raiders, which makes it hurt even more.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it just goes back to, we have Deshaun Watson. It's just like, well, until he's out there taking a snap, I'm not trying to picture anything, too crazy just yet. I want to get back to you a little bit. I kind of want to go back, kind of talk about your origin of content creation, why you decided to get into it. When did you start? What was kind of the earliest stuff you started doing? Have you always just kind of been, creative? Just kind of tell me the whole story. Because just for the people that don't know, I mean, you've built quite a following so far. I mean, you got, about 26 or so thousand on Instagram. You got over 10,000 on YouTube. I think 13 or 14. You have over 800,000 on TikTok. And I love the TikToks because they're almost like a tweet comes to life. You kind of give a quick story of, what just happened with this team or this player. And you got video, you got graphics, you got, your commentary. So I really love the TikToks. You can really kind of get your NFL news if you just followed you there on TikTok, which is really cool. So, so you really kind of built this up, and this is, what you want to do and continue to do going forward. So how did it all start?
That's a great question. I haven't talked about this too much, Joe. So I'm really glad you asked that. So my first start really came probably back in about 5th or 6th grade for me. I don't know what year that would have been. I guess maybe around 2012 or 13-ish. Yeah. So the first thing I started doing was posting like little like Raiders highlight videos on Instagram, and I think a Raiders highlight account. I also did some of like and I would use my iPad to make these little edits. Nice. And I also would do like the photo edits. There was kind of that phase. You probably remember, you're probably a little older than I, like you might've been early high school time or so. Yeah. People were posting like edits of players with different skins on them and filters looking cool. But so I did that, and that wasn't like anything special. But then Vine came around. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm sure you know Vine.
I get much more sleep now that Vine is gone. I used to be up till like 2 a.m. just laughing. I love Vine.
Yeah. Vine was the addicted thing before TikTok, right?
Yes.
But when Vine came around, I created actually one of those sports music edit to highlight accounts on Vine, which actually was really popular when I was in 7th grade then, and my account was called Sports Mixtape, and I did it all on my iPad and like little editing software on my iPad, and I think I grew to me it was pretty I had like 17,000 followers or something on it.
Yeah.
And like at the time as like a 7th grader, I'm like, man, I'm a big shot. Like I got this sports Vine account, but it ended up being super pivotal actually in like my journey and like creating sports videos, because I was really young and I already was showing that like I could take something that like I knew nothing about and grow something and like learn a skill that, being a 7th grader, normally you're not thinking, what can I do to set myself up, or what can I do to, kind of do more than just care about your crush in middle school or your,
right.
Like I thought it was a good start for me to finally realize, hey, I like doing things outside of just schoolwork and girls to try to, improve myself and grow. So that was great. And then, Vine kind of started fizzling out, and well, obviously it's done, but that was a good little part of time for me. And in middle school, kind of took some time off as high school came around, wasn't really creating a lot of sports content. But I was learning. I took some Adobe Premiere classes in high school and stuff. So I was getting the skills toned. And then finally, once college came around, I'm like, okay, let's do something. My buddy and I, we started up a podcast. We only went about 7 episodes, and then we saw TikTok came out, and we were like, okay, let's create some TikToks. Let's create some sports videos. And when no one else was doing it, just dance videos on TikTok.
When were you when did you start putting videos on TikTok? How early on was this?
So I started November of 2019.
Nice. I wish I would have done that.
Yeah. So that was when I started. And I will say, I definitely benefited from first mover advantage. And I think it definitely matters. I think you want to pay attention to the platforms that people might have a hard time having the vision of that being, but things tend to shift. Like we've seen Instagram isn't what Instagram was. Even like every social media platform isn't quite what it was right when it started. And I think there's 2 ways to get big, and especially in the social media world. I think you either got to be the best or you got to be first. And I knew at the time I wasn't the best, but I was like, okay, we're trying this podcast thing. And like, Joe, you and I both know for podcast, it's all about putting in the time. You got to be willing. If you're going to do a podcast, you got to enjoy it so much. You got to be like, okay, this might take me 3 years before it starts catching steam. And, and you just got to love it for that much. And we were kind of like, okay, we can do the podcast, but then we were like, okay, you know what? It doesn't hurt to just go all out on the TikTok thing for a little
100%.
bit. So I did it with my buddy and Brandon Eisenberger. We started up the account, and we've actually shifted to where I'm all of it now. And we originally called the Fantasy Freaks, and then we shifted it, and now it's just Kevin Walsh and I'm solo. But we started early, and when the TikTok was all dance videos, and we were like, okay, this is a good opportunity. But I think the learning lesson, I guess I would like to give to other people is that always be thinking about trying to do the next thing. And not try, because it's really easy to see the people you look up to currently and the things they're doing and be like, I want to do that too. And to me, it was like, I want to be, we started with fantasy football stuff. So I really like these guys in the fantasy footballers, and they're a podcast, football. I was like, man, I like what they do, but I was like, you know what, maybe I need to try to do it in a different way. Like maybe I got to do it in my way. So I'm like, okay, let's try it. So that's kind of my story with that. And then the videos have really shifted away from fantasy football to NFL news content. Like you said, how a tweet gets brought to life. That's kind of the goal. I like, especially right now, when we were talking earlier about how news is really dry right now. I love being able to take something that's really small and might not seem like it's such a quick thing, but create a story around it and create a little bit more behind it. So if I see something like, maybe what's one that I just did recently? So I just did one on, the new, the jerseys. We just saw the new jerseys come out for, or the new helmets actually.
The
new helmets for the Texans
specifically.
Yeah. And, Texans helmets coming out, it's going to be hard to make a video really like about that. People just want to see what the helmets are. But then, right, I can educate people on, the reason why this is happening is there's a new rule that came out where the NFL is now allowing extra helmets. We've already seen a few other helmets come out, like the Patriots and the Falcons dropping new helmets for this upcoming season. So being able to make it a little bit more of a story and kind of just get people interested in knowing a little bit behind the surface to even these small news, but making them in video form, which we're finding people like videos nowadays. Like people like videos. So that was kind of my journey up through, 5th grade to now. And I'm now going to be a senior in college. Like, wow, it's flying by. But I definitely am. I feel good. I feel happy that I liked the things I was interested in middle school. I now can be doing now, but I enjoy it though. It's a blast.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the cool things, everyone talks about the bad sides of social media and technology and everything. And there are, but one of the good things is you can get interested in something. I mean, what else really could you be, doing that's an actual job for when you're an adult that you could start doing, when you're in junior high, you know what I mean? Or in elementary school. I mean, just starting video editing and, building up a social media platform. I mean, and you look at, the way that people can monetize it and, there's so many eyeballs on TikTok that they have, a creator fund, and even more money is going to come and brands want to reach out to people just and pay them all this money just for a 15-second video or whatever it is. I mean, it's really unbelievable. And I think that's, really one of the cool things is you can get good at this editing stuff or get an eye for it and just get a bunch of reps and put stuff out there, kind of anonymously behind a mixtape, or a highlight page. And, there's no, I mean, there's no one in 5th or 6th grade that's, that's going to end up being a CPA. That's like, going over people's books when they're, and after they get done with recess, like that's not happening. But, because of today's technology, you could be putting together videos on your iPad and maybe, and things have evolved. So it's a little bit different, but the baseline and foundation of it is still sort of the same. So I think that's something that's really cool and unique.
Well, we're also noticing too that your personal brand matters a lot now.
Yeah.
And, it's something you can start building as a middle schooler. Like, we even see a lot of these big YouTubers we see, they were making YouTube videos when they were middle schoolers or in high school.
Or they were Vine people that ended up
they were Vine people.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it's just your personal brand matters. And Joe, I'm sure you find, you being in the spotlight and really highly viewed videos give you a lot more credibility in life, even if it was doing whatever you want to do. It's just, Joe, I know who you are because of you posting, being a media personality, in videos. And, that's how you and I even got connected. It was just actually, I saw your videos and I was like, man, I like what Joe does. I think he's got a good personality. And I connected with that. And you really can connect with people now through video and through social media where I think it's something you should take advantage of, even though there are, a lot of negatives. We could talk for a while about social media and what maybe the apps are doing wrong, but you're either got to participate or, you're either not going to do something or you're going to be left behind, because social media is going to be a part of our world for a really long time.
100%. So you're getting ready to start your senior year of college. So are you like where you're working right now? Is it content like going forward when you graduate, or you can continue on with them? You're going to look other places. Do you ultimately want to work for yourself? Like kind of going forward, like what exactly is it that you want to do? You have this great following, but how are you really going to make it, sustainable and kind of build off of, the really kind of great foundation that you built so far?
Yeah. 'Cause right now I'm in this weird spot where the people around me are all, looking for jobs, internships, things like that. And I definitely feel like I'm in the boat where I want to be doing this once I'm done with school, and I want to be able to just be my own boss and really be creating content. And I think my long-term vision is I want to keep creating content, building my brand, personal brand through being like an NFL creator. And beyond that, one of my main goals is like, to even put it straight, like I want to be one of the bigger names in NFL media. And I want it to be through, not saying I can't use other media outlets that are already built to like help that, but
for sure.
I think we are going to find that creators are going to be able to be big in the NFL space that don't need to have the tag of ESPN or CBS with them, just with the new social media time. But that's kind of my goal. And then from there, I think I really like definitely have business endeavors that I like could see myself like actually starting up an actual business that I would be able to have some marketing for. I have an audience that would already be interested in it. And whatever I would offer up would be something similar to what like the NFL and football or sports in general. And I think being able to have that marketing and that free reach organic reach is just super beneficial. So we'll see how that takes me. I don't like have a huge direction for that, but being able to be a creator outside of school for these next few years and have that be my thing. And then from there, try to slowly implement more of a business plan behind everything I'm doing, and not just relying on brand deals and views to support myself. And also just, I mean, the big thing is for me though, I just want to provide a lot of value to people. Like that's the big thing for me. I obviously want to be able to support myself doing it because I think that's, if I can do that, then my needs are met. I'm good. But I just want to create videos people like. I want to create a product that someone likes or a service that people like. And I think the NFL is the best like sport in my opinion. And I think it's like it's the best reality TV show in my opinion. Like, so I want to keep spreading it to people, and my audience is really young. So I like the idea of spreading it to younger audiences. I think, we're finding that, with gaming getting more interesting and things like that, I don't want to see the NFL, go under the radar or just fall out of importance. So, I definitely see myself wanting to do this NFL stuff for a really long time. And I like the idea of having a schedule that I get to determine myself. And I think we're starting to see a new wave of people liking that, especially post COVID and all that stuff. Like people are wanting to control their own schedule now.
Yeah. Well, I know it's not NFL, but I mean, has Ohio State tried to get their hands on you at all for any sort of content stuff? Because I mean, you got all kinds of content. You got your following, and obviously they're a huge brand. You're a student. I mean, any interest with any sort of college football or any work with them or anything like that?
I have not had any like contact with Ohio State about any content or things like that. But it is an interesting situation because it's kind of a unique scenario where I am a big football creator in one of the biggest, you could argue the biggest college sports town in the country. So I have not talked to them yet. I was thinking about maybe reaching out to them and seeing about getting some extra access at the games because I'm going to be going to the games anyway.
Right.
And Ohio State's got some really big NFL prospects coming up, and CJ Stroud, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
And more of the NIL stuff. I feel like the access to these players and collaborations would be a little bit easier. There wouldn't be so many hoops and, worries about rules and things like that. I would think that would be, pretty awesome for your stuff and your audience.
I think that's something I definitely want to look into it because I only got one more year left. I mean, not saying I'm not going to be in Columbus. We'll see where I go after school, but I only got one more year left being a college student and being like going to the football games as a student. And I think it'd be cool to like take advantage of that and get to spread Ohio State football so to more people. Because I only do NFL right now, so I have to figure out a way to kind of like, get that involved with my content, which could be through the fact that there's good prospects coming from Ohio State, or also just people want to see behind the scenes at cool sporting events too. So if I can get that somehow, I might need to do a few emailing around or talk to I'm signed with an agency too, which
nice.
It's just cool. So I maybe talk with them, maybe see if we can get something set up. But I'm pumped for Ohio State football though. It should be a good year for the team.
It's gonna be great. But I mean, these guys who do college, I mean, look how cool the draft is, just because there's so many players, one of the desks they have there at the NFL draft every year are the, your main like college game day guys and, the big voices for, ESPN college football. So, you could definitely work in the college football stuff, especially being at Ohio State with the draft prospects, saying, because if you have a big NFL audience, there's teams out there that need quarterbacks. CJ Stroud's going to be one of those guys. I mean, Ohio State always have dudes all over the field, especially now, in their wide receiver room, it seems to be a factory. So I think you could you'll definitely be able to work that out. And especially if you get a little bit of access, I think it'll be really cool for you.
Yeah, I definitely want to do it. I think the Buckeyes are going to win the national championship this year. I'm saying that right now.
Okay.
So it'd be a cool year to do it. Okay.
Yes.
Like I'm no bias in here. Buckeyes winning the ship. I need an actual platform to say this. Yep. So when they do, I'll have something to go back and see. This is the time capsule for my prediction. Okay. Buckeyes win the national championship.
1:03 Pacific time on July 13th. You've said it.
I've said it. It's going to happen. Be ready to watch Ryan Day and Stroud lifting up that college football playoff trophy.
Lifting up the trophy. I love it. Okay. We have a sponsor on this show, Dating Assassins. Got the t-shirt. I randomly selected some cards from the deck. So we're not on a first date like these cards are intended, but these are still, I think, some good questions. So you ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready. Let's do it. Dating Assassins. Here we go.
Question number 1. I know the answer to this, but I want you to elaborate on it. Do you have haters?
The answer is yes. I do have haters. Something I've struggled with a little bit. It's hard to see people want to tear you down.
It's tough at first.
It's tough. It's especially too when I can always take some good criticism with NFL opinions, things like that. But you get haters that just are like, oh gosh, this guy, he's horrible. And they're like, I don't know. You get your people that hate on you, but I think I always try to remember if you get those 10 hate comments, well, there's 50,000 likes that go with it, Yes, so you're always going to have, I think in society, you're gonna have those bad apples, those handful of bad apples. And of course, I don't take it personal. I don't take it, but there are haters out there. I'm sure you felt it too, Joe. Like, you just
oh my God. I still remember this one. This was like when I first started and, I didn't have a ton of reps. I'd never done these interviews before. And I finally felt like I was starting to get a little bit better, get a little bit more comfortable. And I saw a comment where someone said, this guy needs to be fired. He's ruining the channel. Unsubscribed. And it just like set me right back to where I was. I was like, fuck. I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. But you persevere and push through. But some people, they just, the comments can be a dangerous place.
Well, and to act like you don't care about them, it's hard. It's hard because I feel like I look through the comments and my eyes naturally go to the ones that, are hateful, which is a bummer because it takes away from the good ones. But
yes,
I'm trying my best to just keep going by them. Don't worry about it because, you're the one going out of your way to try to put yourself out there. And, with doing that, you're going to get some hate.
That's right. Okay. Question number 2. Are you stingy? What are you stingy about? What's kind of a pet peeve, stingy? Something that just kind of get at you. Something you don't like to cut a corner around. You want to do it the right way. What would that be?
So are you saying like financially wise stingy or like
you could be stingy? I think this is wide open. You could be stingy about anything. Only eat green M&Ms. Whatever it is, you take it wherever you want to go.
Oh gosh. Okay. So stingy, I would say not like, maybe this is more of like a pet peeve than anything, but I cannot stand when chairs don't get pushed in. Okay.
I like that. I'm a chair pusher inner.
Are you? Okay,
I am
good.
like,
So we can be friends.
Yes, especially restaurants and public places where someone else that's, someone not in my family, not that I leave them open so my mom does it, but if I'm out at a restaurant, like I just feel like an asshole. Like this waitress shouldn't have to push in my chair or whatever.
Yeah. Well, also too, just when you're walking around, it's just when the chairs are snug with the table, it just seems more open. It's just easier to go around. Yes. So I think not necessarily something I'm stingy about. I will say I am stingy when it comes to clothes a little bit, when it comes to buying clothes. I need to up my clothing game because I'm like such like a comfy style guy.
You're just a sports guy.
Yeah. I'm a sports guy. So I always grew up wearing like the graphic, just Raiders shirts and the Cavs and the Buckeye t-shirts.
Yep.
I need to up my game a little bit. My girlfriend's trying to get me to do it. So, I need to be willing to just drop a little more dough on some of that more, better quality stuff.
Yeah.
But, so when it comes to money wise, little stingy when it comes to buying clothes because I'm not like super into the fashionable stuff, but I need to do it because, I need to be able to look fresh,
My only advice or not my only, but a tip there. And I think your girlfriend will agree. This is something I kind of invested in when I did the interviews. Classic, simple stuff goes a long way. So I would just invest in a nice pair of jeans and a nice, well-fitting black t-shirt. Ooh. And maybe you overpay for just a plain black t-shirt, but get a nice one because you can wear it underneath. You can wear it by yourself. You can be very versatile with just a plain black t-shirt. You can wear it a lot of different places. You can dress it down a little bit, wear some Chuck Taylors, be a little bit more casual, wear it with tennis shoes, or you could dress it up with a little bit nicer shoe. It's very versatile. Maybe be a little bit ridiculous to spend $40-$50 on a black t-shirt, but if you get a nice one, take care of it, can go a long way. And it's not like I would never wear this. It's a black t-shirt. Of course, everyone wears a black t-shirt.
I like that. That's a great piece of advice. I'm gonna first thing after this, get my black plain t-shirt.
Do it. All right. I like it. You know what I'm stingy about? I think.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Let's see if you agree with this. I'm gonna relay it to sports. I love watching games. I'm very stingy when it comes to my sports watching experience. Like I am not a Super Bowl party guy. I am very comfortable watching the Super Bowl by myself without people talking, or just, worrying about getting up and my seat not being there. Like I don't like watching out at bars and restaurants and stuff. If it's like a game with my team that I really, really want to watch, I got no problem spending 17 Sundays alone plus the playoffs if it means I'm going to be able to watch the games how I want to.
Okay, I'll be honest. I 100% agree with you. That's the most stingy thing I am.
Yeah.
Joe, you are talking to the guy who I do not want to watch an NFL game, preferably with anybody else. I'll be honest. I all high school, literally would want to spend the whole Sunday by myself in my basement watching the games.
I like it.
I don't like the distraction, the bar thing. I feel like I can't even focus on the game because to me, the game's more exciting than the environment of being at the bar watching.
100%,
Joe, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That is like so much a part of me that maybe is different than most people. I like watching like locked in, like in my own zone. Like, yeah, you're right. Not having to worry about your seat getting taken, not being distracted by other conversation.
Yep.
The game's everything. Let's watch the sports. And like, that's it. So 100%. I'm stingy about that too.
I like it. Yeah. Cause if I have people with me, I get mean too, especially if they say something that's stupid. Like I had someone try to and they're being so nice. Cause they're, watching a game and they're they want to add into the conversation or whatever. Yeah. And they'll say something. I just want to be like, no, that's stupid. And then go right back to the game. But which is agree. And I don't want to be mean because that's not me, but I'm like, okay, we got to figure out how we're going to convert this third down here.
Also, sports watching is an emotional experience, right? And like, I don't want other people, like I'm emotionally into this game. Like, I don't want to take it out on you at all. Right. And but I totally agree. When people are saying comments that I'm like, I disagree with, I'm just like, I want to have my own picture for how the game should be going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't need your bad comments.
And I'm not very superstitious, but with sports, I'm very superstitious. So then I think too, okay, what happens if I let this person watch with me and the game goes really well, but I'm not super pumped that they're there? They have to come back next week. I mean, that's just, that's just the way I live.
I get it. I mean, any way we feel like we can be impacting the game, we like to see that we have some sort of say on how it goes, even though we know we don't.
100%. Okay. Last question here, number 3.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. This is a good one too. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, you're hitting me with that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know for yourself first? I need a second to think about this.
What I would change about myself? I'd probably be a little bit more relaxed when it comes to sports watching and be nicer to people, since we're just talking about that. I probably should have thought of, because it's not fair that you just have to answer.
I know. It's only fair that we both get a little uncomfortable here.
That's right. What would I change about myself? I would sometimes, and just outside of sports watching and just being involved in sports and, doing sports content and, stuff. Sometimes I just don't allow myself to have fun and be social sometimes. Like, I'm always just like, sometimes I'm the guy that's like, I should get to bed, or I'm thinking about this or whatever. And, sometimes I always don't take that. If I could change, I would just simply say that I would, just kind of flip my mindset a little bit, that I should let myself have a little bit more fun and say yes to more things, once in a while. Not say yes to everything, but to more things.
I like that. I think that's a good one. The two that popped to my mind, I'm gonna say 2.
Okay.
The first one that popped to my mind. I sometimes have a hard time with like getting uncomfortable if it even is just like asking for something simple. Just put myself out there, even if it's just like I've looked up ways to fix this online. They're like, go to your Starbucks and ask for a discount at the register. And I'm like, to me, that's just like not me. And like, honestly, the last thing I naturally like doing, something about that I wish I could change is I wish I was more willing to like put myself out there. So like, I feel like I'm a social guy, and I feel like I am extroverted, like in a way, but something about just like even just asking for things like that, it's hard for me. And the other thing is too, not the biggest, but when it comes to veggies, I'm like a very picky eater. Don't eat a ton of my veggies, unfortunately. I didn't really eat a ton growing up when I was younger, so I think I naturally just didn't really have didn't get the taste for it, and just I wish I could change that, because when I go out to eat, never order a salad, can't even eat it. So I'm just like, I wish I could eat a salad, because it's such like a, something you want to do. It's a good little start to your meal with everybody. I hate being that guy who doesn't eat the salad.
Yeah. I get it. And it's so funny too. Like, I'm the same way with talking to people and stuff. Like, you would think, oh, super extroverted, podcast, videos, TikTok, whatever. But like, but when you're not without the mic, I feel a little powerless sometimes, where I'm just like, no, I'm good.
I get it. I totally get it. I think those are some good things though. I think we got a little uncomfortable there. We shared some deep stuff there. I like it.
Yeah, we are working in the right direction. Thank you to Dating Assassins for first date. I mean, those are great. I mean, if you brought those on a first date, or at least had them prepared, I mean, it's I mean, you'd get deep. You'd find some things out.
My downstairs roommate's single right now. I need to tell him about this.
Yeah.
Dating Assassin. Those cards are good. I think
they're great. I mean, there's a whole,
I would totally use those.
This is just part of the stack. I mean, it's a huge, there's like hundreds of cards in that thing that they sent me, and this awesome t-shirt. So they're legit. I was like, okay, let's see what this is going to be. And I've been thoroughly impressed. And they got this, it's a cool logo. Check that out.
Oh yeah. I
That's
like
badass.
it. I like it. Dating Assassins. That's sweet. I like those cards. That was
Yeah.
good. That was a good add to the podcast. I think that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've loved doing that so far. So that's been fun, and everyone's liked them. So that's good. Just chip away, man. I love it. Well, Kevin, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. This has been a blast. Where can everyone find your stuff? Is it Kevin Walsh NFL across the board? Where everyone can check you out?
Across the board, Kevin Walsh NFL, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You'll be able to find me. Check out my NFL content if you like it. If you don't really like the NFL, check it out because I think I can get you to like it. But yeah, Kevin Walsh NFL. Trying to get that Instagram following up. We're trying to get to 100K. We're only fourth the way there. We'll get there at some point.
You'll get it.
But that's where you can find me. It's pretty easy.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate this.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you.